Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission here is, well, pretty straightforward. We take these huge, complex subjects, ancient texts, dense research, history, and we try to boil them down. Find those surprising insights, the things that help you get really well informed fast. Today, we're undertaking a really deep dive. We're looking at an ancient text, Daniel chapter 2. And honestly, it offers this, well, frankly, shocking shortcut to understanding not just the ancient world, but basically the next 2,500 years of world power, right up to today.
It's an incredible piece of text, and the knowledge it contains. It comes out under just unimaginable pressure. We're talking about a super high-stakes situation, the court of Nebuchadnezzar, powerful Babylonian king. He has this dream, right? A really disturbing prophetic dream. And the sources are clear this is early in his reign, second year. So you get the sense he's maybe not entirely secure yet. Anxious, perhaps. This dream hits him hard, not just as a king, but maybe as someone worried if his new empire will actually last.
Yeah, that context is important, but here's the twist. The thing that makes it more than just interpreting a dream. He forgets it. He wakes up deeply troubled, knows it was significant, prophetic even, but the details, gone. So his solution is, well, it's terrifying, but also kind of brilliant in a ruthless way.
Yeah.
He issues this impossible decree. He says he'll execute every single advisor, every wise man, unless one of them can do two things. First, tell him what he dreamed, recall the content, and then give the interpretation.
It's the ultimate authenticity test, isn't it? No room for smooth talk or flattery if you don't even know what the subject is. And for Daniel, who's part of this group of wise men, this is a massive step up from his previous challenges.
Right. If you remember from our previous discussions on Daniel, his character was already tested. He risked his neck just staying true to his identity, his God, even in seemingly small things like his diet.
Exactly. That quiet faithfulness, that integrity.
And now, that same faithfulness is about to be tested on this huge world stage level.
Yeah.
History itself hangs in the balance.
And maybe keep this idea at the back of your mind as we go through this. Daniel was living in what you could call the original New Babylon, a dominant culture, pretty hostile to his faith, trying to assimilate him, really.
That's a great point.
And the connection for us today is that, well, arguably, we face our own modern New Babylon. Cultural pressures, secularism, just the sheer noise of information trying to erode distinct identities.
So how Daniel handled that ancient pressure cooker, that's maybe the big lesson for us today.
Precisely. Okay, so let's really dive into the king's problem here. Second year of his reign, the sources say. Historically, that matters. He's relatively new. The empire's huge, yes, but maybe the foundations feel a bit shaky to him.
Yeah.
He's likely thinking about succession, legacy, how long this whole thing will last. So a troubling dream, even when he forgets, pokes right at that vulnerability.
And his reaction, demanding they tell him the dream first. It's tyrannical, sure, but it shows a deep paranoia, doesn't it? He knows his court. The sorcerers, enchanters, magicians, Chaldeans, they're probably masters of spin.
Oh, absolutely. Experts at telling the powerful what they want to hear.
Exactly. If he just told them the dream, they could easily cook up some comforting interpretation, something politically convenient. By making them reveal the content first, he cuts off that escape route. No flattery, no deceit possible.
To the ultimate proof. He's basically saying, show me you actually have a connection to the divine, or admit you're just making stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
So he gathers this whole assembly, the best minds Babylon has to offer, and lays down the law. And this is where their whole system, this Babylonian wisdom, just completely implodes.
They have to admit they can't do it. And what's fascinating is how they admit it. They say, look, what the king asks is impossible for any human. Only the gods whose dwelling isn't with mortal flesh could reveal this.
In saying that, they unintentionally elevate the concept of a true God who can reveal secrets. And at the same time, they basically sign their own death warrants. They admit their whole toolkit, sorcery, astrology, magic, it's useless for this kind of ultimate truth.
And Nebuchadnezzar, he doesn't take it well.
Not at all. Swift, unforgiving. That paranoia flips into outright fury. He orders the execution of all the wise men in Babylon, not just the ones present, but everyone associated with that class.
Which, of course, includes Daniel and his three friends.
Exactly. They're caught in the net.
Now, the source commentary really highlights something crucial here, theologically speaking. This whole failure isn't just plot. It's a public takedown of those Babylonian practices. Fortune-telling, astrology, sorcery.
Right. It serves to contrast them sharply with the kind of divine authority Daniel is about to represent. The ancient Jewish law, you find it clearly in Deuteronomy, calls these practices abominations, strictly forbidden. The Babylonians. They built their statecraft partly on this stuff, and when the ultimate test comes, life or death, their source of wisdom is shown to be bankrupt.
But let's pause on something the sources bring up, the whole idea of dreams. Because the Bible itself isn't entirely anti-dream, is it?
No, that's a really important distinction. God does use dreams in the Bible for specific, authorized divine revelation. You see it especially in times before the scriptures were fully compiled or widely available. Think of Joseph in Genesis, warning Pharaoh about the famine.
Or Joseph, Mary's husband, being warned in a dream to flee with Jesus.
Right. Even the Apostle Paul has night visions guiding his missionary journeys. These are presented as legitimate divine communications.
So God can use dreams.
Yes, God can. The evidence suggests that when God intervenes via a dream, like here with Nebuchadnezzar, it's often an act of his sovereignty, moving history according to his plan. However, the commentary is very careful about applying this today. The sources generally caution modern believers against relying on personal dreams for guidance.
Why the caution?
Well, the argument is that with the completion of the biblical revelation, the primary way God guides is through his word, the Holy Spirit, and the counsel of the church. Plus, there are warnings in Scripture itself against false dreams like in Jeremiah or Ecclesiastes, and the potential for self-deception or even superstition.
Okay, so the takeaway for the listener here is about discernment. We see the failure of occult practices in Babylon. We acknowledge God has used dreams historically for revelation. But for us today, genuine wisdom primarily comes through Scripture, prayer, seeking God directly, not necessarily waiting for a special dream.
That's a good summary. It's about recognizing the reliable source of truth versus potentially misleading or even forbidden practices. So this death sentence is hanging over everyone. And Daniel's response, it's really a model of how to handle a crisis. No panic. He finds the chief executioner, this guy Arioch, asks calmly what's going on, why the decree is so harsh. He asks for time, gets it, and then immediately goes for spiritual backup.
He doesn't try to handle it alone. That's key, isn't it? The community aspect. He gathers his three best friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Using their Hebrew names here feels significant too.
It is. He recognizes this isn't just about saving their skins. It's about seeking God's mercy and revelation for this huge mystery. It requires a united front, spiritually speaking.
And you mentioned something fascinating the research uncovered about their names.
Ah, yes. This is one of those linguistic nuggets you find sometimes. If you look at the original Hebrew meanings of those four names, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, and you put them together. Daniel means, God is my judge. Hananiah, God has been gracious. Mishael, who is like God. And Azariah, God has helped.
Wow. So their names together form a kind of statement of faith.
Exactly. It's like a mini creed. God is my judge. God has been gracious. Who is like God. God has helped. It's almost like their very identities are woven together as this declaration of trust in God. It really underscores their unity.
That's incredible. It adds such depth to why he sought them out specifically.
It speaks volumes about their shared faith foundation. And think about the result of that shared trust. The text implies that after they prayed together, Daniel was actually able to sleep soundly that night.
With a death sentence hanging over him.
Yes. That's not nervous anxiety keeping him awake. That's deep, genuine trust that God would intervene. He'd put it in God's hands.
And God does intervene.
He does. The mystery, the forgotten dream, is revealed to Daniel in a night vision, direct revelation. Now, Daniel has the answer. He knows what the king dreamed. But notice his first reaction.
He doesn't run straight to the king.
Nope. He doesn't rush off to save himself. His immediate response is to stop and offer this beautiful, structured prayer of praise. Verses 20 to 23. It's like a short song.
And this prayer, you're saying, is where we find the core message, the so what for us.
Absolutely. Because in praising God for the revelation, Daniel lays out these fundamental truths about God's nature and his power over history. He highlights three key attributes. First, God is eternal. Daniel praises God's name from everlasting to everlasting, or as one source puts it, from time immemorial until eternity. This sets the stage. The power Nebuchadnezzar has, symbolized by gold, is temporary. The God revealing this secret operates outside of time. His power is absolute, unending.
Okay, eternal. What's the second attribute?
Second, and this is hugely relevant for us today, living in such politically turbulent times, God's control over time and power. Daniel states clearly, God changes times and seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings.
He removes kings and sets up kings. That's quite a statement.
It's immense. Think about what it means. Every leader currently in power, anywhere in the world, doesn't matter if they were elected, inherited the throne, or took it by force, their authority is ultimately permitted, maybe even granted, by God.
So it's not just down to elections or coups or popular movements.
According to this text, no. The ultimate authority rests with God. He's working out his sovereign plan, and he uses human leaders, even ones who don't acknowledge him, even hostile ones like Nebuchadnezzar, to achieve his purposes.
That really changes how you might view current events, doesn't it? If you, the listener, feel stressed by the news, by politics.
Exactly. It offers a different perspective, a foundation of peace, perhaps. The chaos might be real, but it's temporary. The one in charge has a plan that overrides it all.
Okay, so God is eternal. He controls time and power. What's the third point from Daniel's prayer?
Third, God is the source of wisdom. Daniel says God gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and light dwells with him.
Ah, so that's the direct contrast with the Babylonian wise men.
Precisely. They tried to find wisdom through occult means and failed the most basic test. Daniel shows that true wisdom, the kind that unlocks divine mysteries, comes only from God himself.
So the practical takeaway is pretty clear then. If we need wisdom, guidance, clarity in our own lives, our own new Babylon,
We go to the source. We petition the God who reveals secrets, and we do it like Daniel did, grounded in faith, ideally supported by a community of fellow believers. Right, so armed with this divine knowledge and having grounded himself in worship, Daniel now goes to Nebuchadnezzar. And his approach is striking. It's all humility. He makes it absolutely clear this isn't about him. He says explicitly something like, "This mystery wasn't revealed to me because I have greater wisdom than anyone else, but so that you, O king, might know the thoughts of your heart, revealed by the God of heaven."
he gives all the credit to God. That's crucial for what follows. He's setting the king up to recognize the source of the information.
Exactly. He's testifying before he even delivers the content. Then he unveils the dream itself. The king saw this huge statue. Magnificent, awesome, terrifying even.
And this statue isn't just a random image, right? It's like a timeline, a geopolitical roadmap.
Precisely. Its structure, from the head down to the feet, represents a sequence of major world empires. And there's a pattern. Generally, the materials decrease in value: gold, silver, bronze, iron, but they increase in hardness, in strength, and often in duration.
Okay, let's break this down. The statue's inventory of empires. Head first.
The head of gold. Daniel tells Nebuchadnezzar point blank, "You, O king, you are this head of gold." Babylon, especially under Nebuchadnezzar, was renowned for its wealth, its splendor. Gold fits perfectly. Highest value.
But gold's also soft.
Right. And relatively speaking, Nebuchadnezzar's Babylonian Empire, this Neo-Babylonian phase, was quite short-lived in the grand scheme of this prophecy. About 66 years, the source notes, before it was conquered. Glorious, yes, but vulnerable. Purest form of monarchy, perhaps, but easily bent or broken.
Okay, head of gold is Babylon. Next down.
Chest and arms of silver. Silver less valuable than gold, but harder, more durable. This represents the Medo-Persian Empire that conquered Babylon. The two arms are often seen as symbolizing the dual nature of the kingdom, the Medes and the Persians, united under rulers like Cyrus the Great.
And the silver aspect, is that just about being lesser than gold?
Partly, but the research suggests it also reflects a shift. Less pure glory, maybe, and more towards, well, administration, finance, bureaucracy. Silver was more the currency of trade and taxes. Cyrus, for instance, was known for organizing the empire efficiently, setting up provinces, satrapies. It was more structured, perhaps more practical empire than Babylon's.
And it lasted longer.
Oh, yes. Around 220 years. Structurally stronger, harder, like silver compared to gold.
Makes sense. After silver comes.
Belly and thighs of bronze. Bronze. Harder still, more resilient than silver. This points to the Greek Empire, established so dramatically by Alexander the Great. Alexander's armies conquered the Persian Empire with incredible speed and military prowess. Bronze often symbolized weaponry, armor the might of the Greek phalanx.
And its reach.
Massive. The Greek Empire under Alexander and his successors stretched further than Persia's. It lasted around 300 years politically. But what's really fascinating, as the sources emphasize, is its cultural impact. Even after the political empire fragmented, Hellenism, Greek language, philosophy, culture dominated the known world.
So Greek remained the common language even under the next empire.
For a long time, yes. In commerce, in intellectual life, that bronze influence was pervasive and long-lasting, even after the political power shifted, a testament to its cultural strength.
Okay, so gold, silver, bronze brings us to the legs.
Legs of iron.
Iron.
The hardest, strongest, most crushing of the metals listed. Lower intrinsic value than the others, perhaps, but representing sheer, brutal power. This is universally understood to be the Roman Empire.
And the imagery fits. Rome wasn't known for the dazzling gold of Babylon or maybe the refined culture emphasis of Greece, but for its legions, its roads, its military dominance, crushing power.
Exactly. Iron smashes, it breaks things into pieces. Rome conquered and absorbed everything before it.
And why 2 legs? That seems specific.
It's incredibly specific. It's seen as directly representing the eventual division of the Roman Empire into 2 parts. The Western Empire, centered on Rome, and the Eastern Empire, centered on Byzantium, later Constantinople.
That division lasted for centuries.
It did. The iron reflects Rome's strength and longevity. The West fell around 476 AD, so about 500 years from its main imperial phase, but the East endured as the Byzantine Empire for almost another 1,000 years, nearly 1,500 in total.
But still, iron is less valuable than gold, silver, or bronze. What does that signify?
Perhaps the diminishing quality of rule over time. Constant civil wars, power struggles, the decline of central authority, weaker emperors later on compared to the early Caesars. The strength was military and structural, but maybe the value or quality of the leadership declined. Brutal efficiency over refined glory.
Okay, this brings us down to the bottom, the feet and toes. And this is where it gets really relevant for us, right?
Absolutely. Feet and toes of iron mixed with clay. This part of the statue represents the time after the Roman Empire's fragmentation, the period leading right up to the end of the age described in the prophecy.
Iron mixed with clay, that sounds unstable.
Exactly the point. Iron is strong. Clay is brittle, weak. You can stick them together, but they don't bond. They don't cleave to one another, as the text says. This mixture symbolizes the nations and power structures that emerged from the ashes of Rome. They have elements of Rome's strength, maybe legal systems, military tech, organizational capacity, the iron. But they are inherently unstable, internally divided, prone to breaking apart, the clay. They try to mingle to form lasting unions, but fundamentally they can't achieve true, lasting cohesion.
So attempts at unity are destined to be fragile.
According to this prophecy, yes. That lack of cohesion is the defining characteristic of this final phase of human governance before the intervention described next.
Let's spend a moment here. How do commentators interpret these feet and toes today? Who or what does this represent?
Well, there's a strong consensus, particularly coming out of European historical interpretation, that this represents the fragmented nation-states of modern Europe. Think about it. Europe rose directly from the territories of the Western Roman Empire. You see immense strength, technological, economic, military, the iron, but also deep divisions, historical rivalries, struggles with unity like the EU project, democratic fragility, cultural clashes, the clay.
The prophecy even mentions they mingle themselves with the seed of men, which some take to mean attempts at unity through royal intermarriage, alliances, treaties.
Yes, all attempts to create that lasting bond. But the prophecy says they shall not cohere. They won't truly stick together. That fundamental iron-clay incompatibility remains.
Do the sources suggest interpretations beyond Europe?
Some do. There's speculation about nations that inherited aspects of Roman legacy elsewhere. For example, the constitutional frameworks in North America having Roman roots, or perhaps nations influenced by the Eastern Roman, Byzantine legacy, like Russia claiming a kind of succession through orthodoxy. But the core message isn't about pinpointing an exact nation so much as describing the condition of global power in this era. It's a mix, strong in some ways, weak and divided in others, lacking ultimate unity.
So the final form of human empire before the end is defined by this fragmented, brittle strength.
Yes. It's ironic, isn't it? As human systems become more complex, maybe more technologically advanced, they also become, in a way, more fragile. This mixture is inherently unstable, primed for what comes next in the dream.
Okay, so we have this incredible statue, gold, silver, bronze, iron, down to these weak, fragmented feet of iron and clay, standing there, representing millennia of human power. What happens then? What's the climax?
The climax is dramatic. Suddenly, a stone appears in the dream. And there's a crucial detail given about this stone. It is cut out without human hands.
Without human hands. So not quarried, not shaped by people, divine origin.
That's the clear implication. This isn't a new human empire rising, not a political movement, not a military conquest born from human strategy. Its origin is supernatural, divine.
And what does this stone do?
Daniel sees it fly and strike the statue, and specifically it hits the statue on its feet, the feet of iron and clay.
Ah, the weak spot. Not the golden head or the iron legs.
Exactly. It strikes at the point of fragmentation and instability. This suggests that when this divine intervention occurs, the final configuration of earthly kingdoms will already be in that weakened, divided state.
And the impact.
Catastrophic.
Yeah.
Utter annihilation for the statue. The stone doesn't just chip it, it shatters the whole thing. Gold, silver, bronze, iron, clay, all of it becomes like chaff, like dust from a threshing floor in summer. The wind carries it away without a trace.
So it's not just defeating the current powers, but erasing the entire legacy of human empires represented by the statue.
That's the imagery, a complete and final end to this whole sequence of human-led world dominion.
And then something else happens. The stone that struck the statue, it grows. It becomes a great mountain that fills the whole earth.
From a stone to a mountain filling everything, that's powerful symbolism.
It leads directly to Daniel's interpretation, the prophetic conclusion he delivers to Nebuchadnezzar. He says, "And in the days of those kings, the ones represented by the feet and toes, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that shall never be destroyed."
Never destroyed, unlike all the others.
Never. Nor shall its sovereignty, its rule, be left to another people. It won't be conquered or replaced. Instead, it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever.
Wow. So this is the ultimate punchline of the whole vision.
It's the ultimate takeaway, yes. The source material widely interprets this stone kingdom as the establishment of God's kingdom, specifically the kingdom of Christ on earth.
Now, when does this happen? Is the mountain filling the earth something still future? The full realization, the mountain filling everything, is generally seen as future, yes. But the process, the striking of the stone, is often linked historically to the first coming of Christ. Remember, other prophecies in Daniel, like the 70 weeks, are interpreted as pinpointing the time of the Messiah's arrival centuries after Daniel. So the kingdom was inaugurated then.
So the kingdom starts then, even if its full manifestation is later.
Exactly. The key is that this kingdom is fundamentally different. It's spiritual in nature, eternal, and it supersedes all temporary, flawed human political structures. It's destined to outlast and ultimately replace them all.
So this whole vision isn't just about predicting empires, it's confirming God's overarching plan for all of history, for all humanity.
Precisely. And it shows that the ultimate lasting government isn't earthly politics, but this divine spiritual kingdom.
Which means for believers, our primary citizenship isn't in the kingdom of iron or clay or gold.
Our primary citizenship is in this indestructible, eternal kingdom established by God. That provides a whole different framework for living within the temporary kingdoms of this world.
Okay, so Daniel lays all this out for Nebuchadnezzar. The forgotten dream, the interpretation, the staggering prophecy. How does the most powerful man on earth react?
He's completely floored, utterly overwhelmed. The text says Nebuchadnezzar fell on his face before Daniel, paid homage, and even commanded offerings and incense be offered to him, though Daniel would surely have redirected that worship to God. The king declares, "Truly, your God is God of gods and Lord of kings, and a revealer of mysteries, for you have been able to reveal this mystery."
He gets it. The specificity of recalling the dream, the sheer scope of the prophecy, it convinced him, at least for that moment.
For that moment, yes. He acknowledges the source of Daniel's power is real, supreme.
And Daniel gets rewarded, obviously.
Massively. The king makes him ruler over the entire province of Babylon, a huge territory, and chief prefect, basically the head, over all the wise men, the very group he was about to be executed with.
Talk about a promotion.
But notice Daniel's final move. It speaks volumes about his character.
He doesn't just take the power for himself.
No. He immediately requests that his three friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, or Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, as they became known by their Babylonian names later, be appointed to manage the affairs of the province of Babylon under him.
Spreading the influence. Ensuring his community, his support network, is also secure and has a role.
It's more than just rewarding friends. It's strategic leadership. It shows that faithfulness within this hostile New Babylon doesn't mean withdrawing from responsibility. It means engaging competently, strategically, and bringing your community along.
It's a fantastic picture of integrity and influence.
And the overarching theme is just undeniable, isn't it? God's absolute sovereignty. He used this powerful pagan king, the very king who would destroy Daniel's homeland, Jerusalem. He used him to carry out his divine plan, to reveal the future course of world history, and to elevate his faithful servant. #outro.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, there are really two huge insights for you, the listener, to take away and maybe reflect on. First, just the mind-bending historical accuracy of that prophetic timeline in the statue. Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome, then this fragmented modern era. It played out with stunning precision over 2,500 years.
It really is remarkable when you lay it against the historical record.
And second, the core theological revelation that all earthly power, all human authority, whether it looks like glorious gold or feels like crushing iron, is ultimately temporary. It's fleeting. It's subordinate to a much larger divine eternal plan.
That's the bedrock truth here.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to the relevance for today. We talked about Daniel living faithfully in his new Babylon, right? That powerful, often hostile culture trying to erase his identity. Well, we face our own version, don't we? A modern new Babylon. Maybe it's cultural pressure, secularism, information overload, the sheer complexity, and yes, that fragmentation, that iron and clay mix of global politics.
So the challenge for us is similar to Daniel's.
I think so. It's about how we maintain faithfulness in the small things, holding on to our core identity and relationship with God, like Daniel with his diet, but also how we operate with competence, integrity, and maybe even influence within the world around us, like Daniel governing Babylon. It's about living with the confidence that the God who sets up kings and takes them down, the God who revealed this whole sweep of history, is still completely in control no matter how chaotic things seem.
That's a powerful synthesis of the history and the personal application, an incredible deep dive. So let's leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over. Something building on what we've discussed. If that final stage of human empire, before the end, is characterized by the inherent weakness of mixing iron and clay, how might that unstoppable stone cut without human hands, that eternal conquering kingdom? How might it manifest or appear to impact our world today, our incredibly fragmented, globally connected, electronically intertwined world?
That's something to think about.
Indeed. Something to consider until our next deep dive.